Hello everyone and welcome back to Phoenix Wright, it's Turning Trials and Tribulations. This should be the last one, I believe, of the free games. Of all all three games, yeah, and the last of all the streaming I've done. Because we're at the end. Godot has tasked us to prove who the real killer is, and he said no more psychic help, which is basically, you're ripping me off of my sleeves. I can't really, like, you're pulling up. I don't know. I'm tired. It's been a long day for me anyway because I'm late because we had traffic today, and unfortunately, oh well, I did not foresee the traffic, and like just so like someone had a collision, and we were going shopping. It is what it is. What turned, I am about half an hour late. I expected to be late, but that wasn't due to the traffic. But anyway, let's quickly go on and finish the game. I have to find or prove who the real killer is. Somehow.
Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we had performed earlier.
Tests that I definitely remember. Tests.
Yes, tests on the bloody dagger we found that was stuck in the pine tree.
Oh, yeah, that. I totally forgot about that. Me too, but, for you it was minutes. For me it was an hour. That's the weapon Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So, what are the results? Was it the victim's blood, or...?
Due to a time constraint, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood on this dagger was not the victim's blood.
The plot thickens.
That is all. Now let's restart this trial.
So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. And whose was it? Interesting. I'm sure we'll figure out. It must have been the killer's. Test it more. Test it faster.
I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close.
Not really. We've got an extra day if we need it.
Both sides will need to show some firm evidence to support their claims.
I understand, Your Honor.
From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly.
Agreed.
Very well, please bring in the last witness.
How we doing, Maya?
Witness, please tell us your name and profession.
Maya Fey. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Co. Law Offices.
Maya.
I mean, lying about that, it's not like I pay her or anything for doing anything. Just, I guess I could put her on retainer. Because, spirit medium, has come in useful in the past. But the chance you could be possessed by an evil spirit, like you were with with Dahlia, that does change things a little bit.
According to this magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium with the crying channeling technique.
I'm frightened. Fey clan. I don't want any more to do with it.
Oh, Maya. The pain the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable.
Very well. Now then, Miss Fey. When the events occurred, were you in the garden of the inner temple? Or you were in the garden of the inner temple, and you witnessed the moment of Mrs. Lee Denim's murder. Is this correct?
I didn't see anything.
Straighten up this instant, young lady.
Huh?
Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later.
But
Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witnesses come out, and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see?
Witness, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dum-dum-dum. Me use sprites, because Maya's in the testimony stand. Ba-ba-ba.
I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" And something warm splashed over me.
Did you wet yourself? That is the obvious first answer.
That's when I lost consciousness.
So you were struck on the head? I suppose it must have been this staff.
See? And you all make fun of Gandalf for using the stick. Maya, the person who hit you, it was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was.
Maya, think hard.
Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't.
Can't say it was an especially good night for you young ladies to be walking alone.
It seems it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination.
Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. They could have tried to make her a tiny bit paler than her usual model. Although, I guess, technically that would be hard. It all depends. She might, her actual model might be, I don't know. It's been that long since I've seen Maya that I can't remember what colour her what colour she naturally is, so she might be a touch whiter than she usually is. But she looks okay to me. And as we always do, press everything. Who else was at the inner temple on the inner temple side that night?
Well, Sister Bikini, of course. But I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well.
Oh yeah, damn right Iris will be coming, if Phoenix had his way. On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini in Hazakura Temple. Which means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later, like she said?
Well, let me think.
She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired.
No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training.
Someone struck me in the back of the head. Who did it? Who hit you? I'll fight for your honor.
Ah, well. I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind.
You didn't see the person? But after that trial, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was?
Oh. Let me think for a sec. I'm sorry. I just can't seem to remember.
Maya's really having a hard time. What should I do? Press. Press everything. Table slam everything. Come on, Maya. This isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person?
Well, let me think. It was, oh yeah, that's right. It was dark, that's it.
It was dark?
It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training.
Apparently so.
Come to think of it, there was earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime.
Which is why she didn't see her attacker. Thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but guess not.
Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely...
The spirit medium that was channeled by Elise Denim, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Very well, please continue with your testimony. What happened after you struck your head?
Okay, and here we go. What happened afterwards?
My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape, I think.
You think?
After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time.
Well now, this is beginning to get interesting.
So, what were these two things rolling around in your mind?
My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2.
Well, you know, at least she's, well, you know, at least it's not 2 + 2 = 5, then we might have a real problem.
See, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was gonna lose my memory.
Well, technically, when you die, you lose everything. So,
I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was.
That's not at all. Your actions are understandable given the circumstances. So, what did you do then?
think I screamed, help me? You think? You don't know? You think you screamed, but you're not sure.
Listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, a child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits.
Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes.
It's good to know that the judge is potentially not wearing any pants.
I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought it was my last hope.
Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya was really out of her mind. I wonder what she means by last hope. What do I do? Do I press her for more details? Press everything. I mean, obviously he wants to press for my last hope. So let's prod on that statement. Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff?
What? What do you mean by my last hope? Or your last hope?
No. That's what you said. You said my last hope.
Huh? What? I said what?
Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, help me.
Yeah.
But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope.
Oh, well, that's like what you do when it's what you'd call it when it happens.
Mine's not doing so well up there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at.
Wait, what did you just say?
Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker I was yelling at. That's who I was screaming for help.
What is it now?
I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out.
Huh?
Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker, there was another person?
Yeah. I meant to keep that part a secret.
Well, technically, you've accidentally not committed perjury. Well done.
What have I done?
It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say.
Ton of pressure?
You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide from things in this chamber.
Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony.
I could see a man behind the stone lantern. A man? Who is this man?
Well, you see, I couldn't see.
You couldn't see. She's used this excuse twice now.
Well, you know, light isn't very bright. Lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. There's always light. They always light it when an acolyte is in there for training.
She's telling a porky pie, from what I remember.
Hey, you know what they say under lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker who was closer. Plus, there wasn't any other light sources in the garden at the time.
I'm smelling bullshit.
Okay, press on the other two statements and let's keep moving forward. You have until then, or you have until from now to when I finish these statements to work out what contradiction I'm thinking of. You don't mean, was it?
I didn't know at the time, but I think it was probably blood.
She's saying that's when Mr. Nim was is she saying that's when Mr. Nim, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer?
That moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. Sure, blood got on everything around me.
It's when I lost consciousness. So what happened next?
I don't remember.
How were you saved? You don't even remember that?
No, I haven't got any idea. I really don't know what happened at all.
That's too bad.
I've worked side by side with Maya for 2 years now. I can tell when she's trying to hide something by the way she acts. And right now, I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something. Right then. Oh. Okay, and so hit in the head, ended up against the stone lantern, screamed, could see a man behind the light of the stone lantern. Something warm splashed over me. If I remember correctly, yes, was not lit on the night of the crime. Off to a good start. Okay then, so there was a man standing behind your attacker?
Yeah.
That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Nim, otherwise known as Misty Fey, your mother.
The killer?
Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you?
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and is quite confused. And that's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony.
Huh? What do you mean?
Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission.
Huh? What?
It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night.
No.
Damn, that is a short skirt, and she has very long legs.
Order in the court. Mr. Godot, please explain this.
And the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of cafe au lait.
Cafe au lait? Is that even legal?
Yeah, I should have remembered that from French. Well, I didn't. I passed French. I never said I did that well on it. I did get a C.
Mr. Tright's words are the milk and you are the spoon, Your Honor.
I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know.
You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that.
Sorry, but that's not going to cut it.
What did you say?
If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony.
Nick?
May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. First yawn of the day. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker.
No!
I always like the fact that the guys in the gallery are all the same character. I like to think they've just had a lot of twins, and they've all just they all just like have a get together whenever there's a courtroom scene on. I like to think like I've created a family of fans, and they all just look the same, and they all just they all come to watch my trials.
Order, order, order. What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Fey saw the real killer under pitch black conditions?
Wright, do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have even seen in the dark? There was no light source at the scene.
I believe there was. There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, did you see who the killer was in the dark? Oh, you did see who the killer was in the dark. And now, you're trying to cover for him.
Cover for the man that killed her mother?
There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is.
Please, Nick. I don't do it. I don't do anything. Please, I'm begging you.
You talk a good game, Trite, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff.
No, Nick, don't. Please.
Maya is dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth.
All right, Mr. Wright, time to show us what you've got. Who was this person you say Maya saw in the Miss Fey saw in the darkness?
Well, as we discussed last time, the person who had to be there was not there on the first day because the bridge hadn't been fixed yet. But it had to be a person who was there once the bridge was fixed. So it could be Pearl, it could be Dahlia. It wasn't Miles. Miles out of the country. It could be Larry. The only other person whose things aren't accounted for is Godot. Because he was missing Stranger on the first day and has given no description otherwise. So I'm going to go with him. Because it was pitch black, Miss Fey was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible. Yes?
What? But how do you propose to show us something like that?
It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night.
Conditions?
Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in the courtroom be turned off. Oh, Didn't even have to get the judge to do that. The bailiff must have done it for us. What a guy.
What? This is... But it can't be.
That's a nice effect you've got there.
This was a nice bit of deduction, Trite.
Well, everyone? This is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. To be fair, Godot is pretty iconic. You saw a man with that sort of visor, you wouldn't really forget it.
Hold on. Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it?
Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person.
What do you mean by that?
If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night? Was it 3 glowing red lights?
Well, witness, answer the question.
You're wrong. I never saw that.
Maya.
I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason.
But what?
Witness, Mr. Wright, what the...
Stop your chattering, Your Honor.
Chattering?
If it's worth asking the witness, that's one of my... It's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the man was a killer, or how you knew the killer was a man.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until I woke up, but... When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I assumed it was a man.
Sexist?
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, Your Honor.
No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you will be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man.
But could also be a woman. Sexists everywhere. Oh well, misogynists.
Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination.
I have seen some hefty gals in my time that can lift. Okay, press everything. So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden, is that right?
Yeah, I think it happened when the victim was stabbed.
So then the person that carried you into the inner temple...
It could only have been the killer.
That's what I think too.
So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple. Very caring. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had completely changed. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
I don't know.
Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. Torches were lit and the body was gone. So basically, we'll press every other statement and then press that one again. So the torches were lit?
Yeah, that's how I noticed the whole scene the whole scene had changed.
I'm gonna say it. It was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be?
The killer probably lit them. It seems to be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, then there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body?
That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. And Pearl, apparently, as well.
Very well, let's hear some more of the condition of the crime scene.
So you're saying that the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. Yeah, just all that snow is covered up around. Snow is removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern.
There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple.
Yeah. Sorry, yawning.
They're all really heavy, way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take the snow away?
Well, there's one thing I can think of. Did you say that a lot of the victims' blood sprayed onto the snow?
Yeah. The area I collapsed in ended up being splattered.
In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation.
Yes, perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. The killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it. So there's no need to remove that amount.
That's true. He could have just scooped up the snow that was stained with blood.
It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them.
You hope. Since the person did all that work alone, I assumed it was just a man. Or a collection of people. So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right?
Yeah?
But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker.
Nick, I'm sorry.
The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body, like pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all of that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. Who's this one? Naturally the killer must have done it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something.
You did?
Yeah. I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me, for my sake.
Seems to be the logical conclusion everyone's coming to.
What? Hiding it for you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden.
She may have thought that you had done it.
No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened?
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want to add that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it was my sake the killer cleaned up the... Yep. Rest of the last statement, I think I have my contradiction. You have until now to get yours. I'll have until I have finished this statement to collect yours. They did it for your sake?
Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right?
Yes, I suppose that's true.
Yeah. If that had happened, the body would have caused some other problems too. If their real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. The Master of Khura'in killed by her own daughter? I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it.
But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through this much trouble to protect you?
Well, the thing is, he did a pretty crappy job of it. Because we're going to use the same piece of evidence to hit him back twice. Remember, there was a bloodstain of Maya. Pretty obvious, if you ask me. The body of Elise Denim was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Plus, I'm trying to be really careful with what I pick out as evidence, because if you didn't realize, my health's not doing too good. Then at the garden, at the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered up in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe that this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there is still one matter that seems somewhat odd.
Oh? And what would that be?
You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya.
Ah,
The killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion. And why didn't they wipe off the writing, or why didn't they wipe the writing off the lantern?
Ah, you're right. Hold on. But Mr. Wright, isn't that a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene?
Indeed. It doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, and then not wipe the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing.
But if that's the case, then do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer remove the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern?
I don't know what the killer's plan was. Well, you know what the killer intended. But it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it.
Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern?
I don't believe the killer noticed it. Because as we all know from previous cases, Godot can't see red on white. Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought.
The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that the crime had occurred there. In that case, if that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it.
but that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that.
You're right. There's no way any normal person would.
What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright?
There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether.
And who would that be? Who's the person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing?
Like I've just said. We've pointed the finger once, may as well point it all the way. Mr. Godot. This is what you said yesterday.
My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything.
You can see everything. Is that correct, Mr. Godot?
This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented.
This lantern? There's something written on it. What? Why? It's written in blood.
Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle.
Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors that you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? I remember more the previous case with, yeah, we went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Tribulations. With the ketchup on the waitress outfit.
This is the apron that the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. And somehow spilled coffee on.
There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained this bloodstain to the court?
Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be?
Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that's smeared all over the apron.
That's ridiculous. No one ever told me about a bloodstain.
You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. Foreshadowing.
It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them?
So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? You're admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern?
Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea.
There's such thing as red tea? I don't know, I'm not, despite being a Brit, I don't, you know, drink a lot of tea. But I have made a lot of tea in my time, and most tea that I do see, it's not red, it's more of a light brown. Or a dark brown, depending on how much milk you prefer to put in. I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Oh, sorry, I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer. I'm more of a water man myself rather than tea. For example, I'm drinking water now. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense of this town would formally accuse you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Denim, also known as Ms. Misty Fey.
It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you.
Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into a killer? Besides, it's not like my name is written down there.
I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red.
This is rich. Go on, Trite.
The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow?
The snow? How so?
Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not just take out... if he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area?
Yes, why didn't he just take out that area? Ah, could it be?
Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area.
Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark?
I don't think so, because he lit the lanterns. Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine.
It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot?
Well, apparently Maya's going to explain it for you.
Just wait a minute.
Maya.
What is it, witness?
Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple till 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Maya. Maya. You can't testify to something like that.
Why? What do you mean? I may not look like it, but I'm... Eek!
Alright. Sorry, just checking something in chat, because the connection seems a bit screwy.
After that murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't.
She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow.
You senile old man. We established this was just a little while ago.
Yeah, I keep having connection issues. It seems like I can have one good stream and then the other stream always seems to falter in some way. Anyway.
After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. But she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me.
Maya. You plan to cover up for Godot, no matter what the cost? That's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. It means we're going to hear the whole truth. I say we should not silence her.
Nicely done, Wright.
Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearly was there at the inner temple, too.
And round 3.
Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple that night. Next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. Next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
Who is this Pearly?
That's my little cousin, Pearl Fey.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry, but what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on. Pearly would never tell a lie. She's way more honest of a person than I'll ever be.
Well, she's a child. Children seem to have a great, well, in more ways than one. A child has a great way of cutting through bullshit and just saying what's on their mind, but you have to catch them in the right mind frame. Otherwise, they can lie through their teeth. It's a beautiful thing when you watch a child just say something so true and so cutthroat and blunt. It's beautiful. Also extremely funny, especially when it's not happening to you. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're just under oath.
Prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness.
Mr. Godot?
Let's just move on to the cross-examination. If the defense has no objections.
This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright?
Let's get this cross-examination started.
Alrighty then.
Pearly was struck on the head. Oh, Pearly was also stuck that night. So where do you think Pearl slept that night?
In the spare prep room in the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the Intertemple in the first place?
Seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya.
She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense.
Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the Inner Temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Denim. She looked around but couldn't find anyone. To be fair, if spirit channeling makes you look a hell of a lot younger, you could get away with being a model forever, technically, if you could just channel the right dead person. She searched the entire temple side, end to end.
Well, you see, Pearly gets really scared when she's all alone. And there weren't many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times.
The Inner Temple side has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room that we're not allowed to go in for some reason, that we've never seen.
There's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it.
There was also a storage shack. Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully?
Well, if it was me, that would have been the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible someone may have been hiding in the storage shack.
Okay, the next day... Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge?
What do you mean?
I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge.
Oh, well, Pearly said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during that night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl, all alone like that.
Well, we know that she at least had one friend in the sacred cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock.
She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls.
What happened after the bridge was finally fixed?
So it was your first time in the temple side, Mr. Godot.
That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question?
Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness.
What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor.
Touche, Mr. Wright.
See, this is what I like about this. You have in this game, and probably to a lesser extent in the previous two, but more so in this game, you see the cogs in Phoenix's head turning a bit more, and he's putting together things that, you know, that he's working out for himself, and he's setting up things to like trick other people. He's actually, you know, not falling into every pitfall and I wouldn't say laying traps, but he's getting cleverer as an attorney and using the judge's own words against him. Good.
Oh, well, what do you have to say, Mr. Godot?
Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If I hadn't been there for this case, I never would have visited here. Or visited there. Freezing cold temple in the mountains. I'll think I'll pass.
So he had never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple. Huh?
You wanna say something, Trite?
In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. Well, I cross-examine Maya, that is.
Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the inner temple side, correct?
Yeah, and that's when Mr. Godot.
Belly first and cheered her right up. He cheered her up?
That's what Pearly said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict.
Cut it out. You're making me blush.
This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves. I'm always the one.
The truth is, there aren't many places to look on the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy with the garden with fine-tooth combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way, Godot style.
I'm the same way. I like to hand down my verdicts in my own way, judge style.
Maybe I should ask some questions. Phoenix style. Cheering Pearls up, Godot's investigation. Probably Godot's investigation's more important. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything?
Looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody handwriting on the lantern.
Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles.
The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall.
Beauty?
Misty Fey, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Western tastes? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? The people, oh, I don't, hang on. The people in the East not have gravy? Like, I know, like, obviously they have salt, different soups and other things, but they do not have, I would have expected them to work out how to make gravy. You know, it's quite, you know, simple in terms of, you know, using it. It's just basically using something off an animal, which I know they had. Like, they have livestock, in you know, in like, the East, depending on where you go, and at what time. But they did, like, say, like China, they must have had it. I refuse to believe that China and other Eastern countries did not have something equivalent to gravy.
So, you, from there you were headed for the prep room?
Wait a second, what did Godot just say now? I think I just found a proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Me trying to force through yawning, trying to speak through, forcing through my yawning. But anyway, there is another thing that's important, and that would be, where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed the least in him.
Pearly was also stuck in the temple side. Okay, well,
Mr. Godot arrived for the first time. Is it this? I'm trying to think of like a, you know, like I'm trying to work it out in my head. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because obviously we're talking about the hanging scroll. It's pretty straightforward so far. They're giving me layups. Mr. Godot? The first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the inner temple was long before the murder took place. I was gonna say, because how would you know it's Misty Fey who was slathered in gravy?
why would you say that?
Because he just made one fatal slip-up. A hanging scroll in the training hall.
Hanging scroll?
But, Mr. Godot's right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother.
Maya, I know you know it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, The hanging scroll was in the training hall looked like this.
Brad, what's that wonderfully delicious smell?
The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy.
Gravy? But why gravy, Nick?
Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any idea of knowing it was Misty Fey. Yeah, that's the contradiction I was hoping to present.
Wait a minute, Nick.
Yes?
Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there.
Ah, it's the mark of the master, correct?
Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark,
And you could have guessed it was a picture of Misty Fey on there.
True, but Mr. Godot described that what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue of aroma of Western tastes.
oh,
Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he wouldn't have known what she was wearing. Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the inner temple long before the crime took place.
Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite?
What is it?
This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed.
that's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene.
Of course Mr. Godot knew about the plan.
Huh?
What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of the plan?
I mean, there's Pearl. There's also Morgan. Both would make sense. Dahlia would know, but why he won't be able to talk to Dahlia. So it's Morgan or Pearl he's going to speak to. Pearl's probably more likely. But since it put us to evidence, that makes me lean towards the letter, which was my first thought. But I don't know if it's right. Because it's not burnt. So it means that I'm going to present it and then we're going to go to Pearl, okay? Oh, thank Jesus. The reason I went for it is because it makes more sense for the letter to not be purely burnt. And therefore, if I could read it, so could he. But why didn't he get rid of it? That's the interesting part. This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fey offered the plan for her daughter's future. And these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fey Manor for over a year. However, by that time, little Pearls had found these instructions. They had already been unsealed.
Unsealed?
Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls had ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was about to take place at the inner temple.
And you still insist that this crafty killer is me?
You bet I do.
But you just said that the instructions were hidden.
That's right. Mr. Godot kind of known where the instructions were hidden.
Is he really? If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out.
Yes, and when was that?
During a visit,
A visit?
Morgan Fey told her daughter Pearl about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden.
Eavesdropping on a visit to the detention center?
Yes. It could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like a prosecutor. Like Mr. Godot. He's not spat out his coffee yet, so we've not upset him in any said way.
Hold on. Mr. Godot, you're under fire again.
This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one who could have acquired this information before the murder.
Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it.
Well, yeah, that's always my my saying. People are always scared the most of what they don't understand or don't know or cannot comprehend or can't see. Why I always think Alien is better than Aliens, because Alien, it's a lot more classic. It's a lot more, you know, suspense horror rather than action horror, because the whole point of the alien is to build tension, and the longer you don't see it, the more your mind has to wonder about what it. Your mind has to ponder and wonder what it looks like, and then your imagination gets caught, and you create a monster that's, you know, scary to you because each individual person is different. That's why leaving things to the imagination is a good tool in filmmaking or making games or anything like such. Why books are so good.
Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee.
Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean?
It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness?
That's right.
You're accusing me of this crime. I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. Got no reason to go through this kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see, and I'm certainly not the type to rescue a damsel in distress.
The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural.
However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs.
I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick?
Well, we're about to find out. Maya. Bet you would guess you were doing this you're doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh?
Okay, Wright. I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you.
What's this?
There is one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together, and I'm going to screw this word up, inextricably. I'm hoping I said that right. I always, it's inextricably? I think that's right. It just doesn't sound right when I say it. I'm going to go with Mia. There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Maya Fey's only sister.
Mia Fey.
You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney.
Oh, wait a second here. Mr. Godot is a defense attorney?
With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot. His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right?
The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago.
Diego Armando, that name rings a bell.
It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. The case in which a convict named Terry Falls was killed. Mia Fey's first time in court, the tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew behind it all. Oh, she knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. Also known as a she-bitch, but we can't say that. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, defense attorney at the office where Mia worked.
It's all my fault. It's all my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself.
Mia. Oh, no, it's his voice.
Mia, you can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over.
Bit mental, but okay.
I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her client. That pure, sweet heart of hers. That's why I can never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria.
Ah, I've just remembered. 6 years ago, right in this courthouse, you were poisoned.
Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee.
Some newspapers at the time called it a murder. But very little information about the case was released to the press.
But you weren't dead at all.
No official reports never actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma.
I see.
My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused.
Apart from the sweet beard hair you've got going on there. Unless he dyes it, I guess.
That's terrible.
Apparently it was a miracle that I even regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee.
5 years? You were asleep for 5 years?
And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered, and the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death.
The woman you loathed?
The woman who spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out.
I mean, it's not really a VR headset. It's more of a. I think of it personally more as like a visor, like a Cyclops from X-Men. That sort of deal to protect his eyes. I mean, that's the way I see it. I don't know why he cannot, or why that. I don't know what the actual science is going on in that headset of his that is the reason he can see. But hey, with the way that science is going on at the minute, is he's scanning the courtroom. I mean, apparently he can see everything, but just not red on white. So I like to think that it's correcting his eyesight, if anything. It's like a thing through which he can see. Yeah, that'd be funny if he's like a bit like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's got like a visor, and he's got instead of having all the evidence, like what we have, he's got this on the inside of that visor, but like obviously red.
She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up.
That's so sad.
For someone like me, for someone who had slept their best days, there were only 2 reasons left to live. It was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor.
If I may ask, what were those 2 reasons?
The first was you, Wright.
Huh? But me?
I hadn't drank that stupid poison. Misty Fey would have never died, much less the way she did.
Hmm?
You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault.
It wasn't like that.
I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were.
So that's why you became a prosecutor?
My other reason for living, she goes by the name of Misty Fey.
Huh? You mean me?
You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Korean village incident was resolved, it was obvious that that woman, Morgan Fey, was planning something. Another she-bitch, if you will. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in a perfect condition to do something about her.
And that's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center.
I knew at the time I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it.
That does make sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out.
Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices.
Accomplices?
Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Fey. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was able to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Fey.
But how did you contact my mother?
Magic.
She'd been missing for almost 20 years.
Officially, yeah.
What? What do you mean, officially?
You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government.
Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of the Quran had great authority.
Even without her official position, Misty Fey wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time.
Damn. She went into witness protection, basically.
That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor.
That makes legitimately no sense. Because, right, okay, it makes little sense. Because if, say if Phoenix, or say if Edgeworth knew this, he immediately would bring this up to Maya. Unless he met with Misty and then Misty had told him not to. That's the only, like, if you're Edgeworth, you've got to have an opinion on that, surely, being a prosecutor as well. And he obviously being involved with Misty Fey in the DL6 incident.
So my mother was cooperating with you?
Don't ever forget, no matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you.
She was always...
That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. You want to know how strong her resolve is to protect you? Look at her staff.
Her staff? The one with the sword in it?
The day of the plan was to be carried out. Well, the day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. And that's not an innuendo. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fey, if necessary. Yeah, even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother?
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan.
You mean pearls, don't you?
We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne.
Well, Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you could come to my room. Perhaps we could read some books together.
We'd thought that we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up.
She was worried about following me to the inner temple.
That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Fey had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia into her own body.
What? What do you mean?
If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself.
As Master of the Karayan, Misty Fey's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so the Pearl Fey wouldn't be able to.
Ah!
What? Is this true?
My role in this plan was to make sure no one was gonna hurt Maya Fey. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple, just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne.
Godot.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to, Wright.
Huh?
There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense attorney. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself.
The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. Just one question is remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Fey, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godot.
Well, here we go.
Well, Wright, if you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own.
No, Nick, please don't.
Maya?
I heard the whole thing. My sister in the medical office. That's why. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia, and me too.
Maya? I know that.
And Nick?
But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify.
Miss Fey, your testimony, please.
It's the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips.
I understand. Sure, you're right. I'm ready now, Nick.
All right, young lady, tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder?
Well, we're going to find out.
Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights. 3 of them. Thought I'd ask for help, but just before that, I was splattered with blood. She wasn't dead though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly, the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness.
Alright then.
These red lights, I thought you said you don't remember seeing them.
I'm sorry. Thought I saw them, but then they just disappeared all of a sudden.
Things break, Wright. Even the best of theories. Who was it that stabbed Misty Fey? Looks like you still can't prove it.
Maya's telling the truth this time, I know it. The rest is up to me. Well, let's press some statements.
Well then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your final cross-examination of the witness.
I think I'm coming in a good time as well. Should be coming in around 2 hours, which is pretty good. I can accept 2 hours for a finale of a stream. I was right to break it up into the right 2 parts. I'm justified in my decision. Light shining in the dark? I didn't think you could make a mistake about that.
Yeah, you're right. I think I saw them, but I can't say for certain. And I can't tell you for sure they were from Mr. Godot's mask either.
I don't get the feeling she's covering for him anymore, but just after that, you turned towards the light and called for help. Isn't that because you thought the lights were coming from Mr. Godot's mask?
Yeah, I guess so. But maybe that's not what I was thinking at the time. But I can't remember. After all, there was a person I couldn't identify in front of me.
Maya's life was in terrible danger at the time. There's no way she could have remembered the details of the scene perfectly.
All right then, let's go on with the testimony. What did you do when you saw the red lights?
Okay, we'll continue on. That blood nearly pronounced as Maya. Was it Dahlia Hawthorne's blood?
I think so. Just at that moment, I heard a soft scream that seemed to be close by. It was a woman's voice.
So that's when the killer stabbed the victim from behind with the murder weapon? Isn't that right?
Without a doubt, Maya is in the middle of a really dangerous situation.
Anyway, the victim was stabbed by the murder weapon. What happened after that?
She wasn't dead though, she struck back at the enemy behind her. Struck back? How do you know that?
Well, you're right. I didn't see it exactly, but I could tell by the sounds of their breathing and movement. And also the smell of blood.
You have witnessed more horror than any young lady should have ever have to in one lifetime. So then, what did you do at that point?
I couldn't move. I could just barely make out their shadows moving in the dark. But I had no idea what to do.
Could you still see the red lights you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I think so. But
Suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area went dark. They went out?
yeah, suddenly I couldn't see them at all.
What? What could it mean?
The red lights were coming from Godot's mask. They went right out in the middle of a fight.
Maybe the mask was damaged.
Or maybe it was knocked off.
Or maybe the batteries ran out. Right, Wright?
Or maybe those little red pinhead-looking lights just stopped working.
Poor soldering. It was an LED issue. Could that have really happened? Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. What do you mean by just at that moment? Do you mean the moment when the red lights went out?
Yeah, that's right.
The scream that you heard then, was it Dahlia Hawthorne?
I don't think so. Pretty sure it was a man's voice.
What? What? So then, that scream came from the killer?
That's gotta be it.
I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken the blade and attacked the killer with it.
Then the killer let out a scream of pain, huh?
After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow, I guess.
Well, Mr. Wright, seems you have to make it seems to make sense to me.
Sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. Does seem to me a bit ponderous. I'm going to say there is a contradiction. Sorry to say this, but the interpretation would create an enormous contradiction.
That makes sense after all. My deductions are almost certainly never correct.
Remember the testimony she just gave before the killer let out a scream? Maya said she had already been splattered by the victim's blood. In other words, the blade and the staff had already been plunged into the victim.
Ah, is that right?
If she couldn't have struck back with a sword that was already stuck in her body, the weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream must have been something other than the staff.
You're sure about it? Why don't you... What? About that, why don't you keep us... Why don't...
Screwed it up.
If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, Trite.
There's only one thing that I can think of that could have been used as a weapon here.
If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by a staff, or by the staff, what could she have been killed... what could she have been used to...
Well, it only makes obvious sense. It's the dagger. It's the only other weapon we found.
What was the weapon used to stab the victim? Or stab the killer?
Naturally, the dagger the killer brought to the scene of the crime.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
This dagger was found to be at the crime scene, stuck into a pine tree.
Yeah, the detective found found that this morning and brought it to me.
Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this, and she managed to wound him as well. Ooh, just got a notification. My parcel's arrived. I bought some clothing. That's good to know. I'll leave it at the, it's one of those, I've got a picture, so it's inside. We've got a little, like, what do you want? I don't know what you call it. A little, you know, a little bit in the house, like, before you get inside the proper, the house, there's like a little bit of a front. I don't know another way to describe it. A porch, I guess, but it's not really a porch because it's all windowed in and solid. But they've left it in there. I'll let it. I'll take when I have a break. I'll have a little longer break to enjoy and check my goods have not been damaged anyway, and they're adequate.
Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean he was wounded. For all we know, the blood of the dagger could have been from the victim.
Have you forgotten that the blood has already been tested? Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must have been the killer's blood. Or it could have been Maya's, but Maya's not been harmed, so...
The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body.
So you're saying that the blood on this dagger belongs to the killer?
Exactly. A DNA analysis of the blood would prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And yes, Mr. Godot, it would prove it. It would prove that it is your blood.
Nice theory, Wright.
Basically, F you.
Order in the court.
Is this the end? Have I done it? Even if he won't be able to have changed he won't be able to change the results of a scientific test.
Let me ask you something, Wright. Let me just say that it turned out that I was the killer. Do you really think I would be stupid enough to leave evidence like that?
Wait, what?
Just think for a second. The dagger was found this morning by a detective and brought it to me. There was already blood on it, correct? Even so, I was the one who brought this dagger here to the courtroom.
Yes, but what does that prove?
Well, if I really were the killer, I couldn't have washed the blade off and planted another person. I could have washed the blade off and planted another person's blood on it.
It can't be.
In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, Wright. That blood doesn't belong to me. Not a chance.
What?
In any event, it seems that we have established that the killer was wounded. All right then, witness, continue your testimony.
Wait a minute.
What's the problem?
I know I probably shouldn't say this, but, there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation.
Maya?
This dagger, you said that it wounded the killer,
Yes. That's right.
but if Mr. Godot really had been cut with a dagger, his clothes would have been bloody or have a rip in them, right?
Maya? Well, to be fair, she has got a point, even if it is misfingied. Technically, you should ask Godot to be searched, a full body search on his skin, for any cuts, bruises, nicks, or cuts and nicks and, any, scars that he may have that could have potentially end up being a stab wound. Obviously, very recently, so you'd be able to tell.
What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder. Everyone was on the inner temple side, got trapped there.
That's right. And once the bridge was fixed and the police headed for the inner temple, Mr. Godot was already there waiting for them.
He never had a chance to change his clothes.
He's right. Jesus, Maya's got some big shoes on. I must notice how tall they are.
Order in the court.
Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him.
But no one could have predicted the lightning strike that shut the bridge down. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes?
Did you just take smart pills during the last recess? Well then, maybe the killer took his clothes off before he committed the murder. Then, that way, he wouldn't get any blood on them. Sorry, I was imagining naked Godot for a minute, just, fighting this woman in the dark, just nude. Visor only on.
It's impossible, Wright. You know how cold it gets up there late at night. After a few minutes with no clothes on, you'll be frozen solid.
Exactly. I'm just imagining this. Can you imagine Dahlia Hawthorne's face if she turned around to see this dude, this pure white hair, visor, red gleaming light, completely nude. Otherwise, I think I would be startled.
So that's all you've got? I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this.
Yeah, it's Metroid Prime without the suit. I've still yet to finish Metroid Prime. I need to get around to it, but I either get... It's one of those of, like, when you play, you know, so many hours of games a week, you sort of get jaded. You sort of get, like, not jaded, but you're like, do I really want to play another game in my own time? Do I have to be really... I have to be really in the mood to want to play Metroid Prime. It's on my list of games I've started but not finished. And I will do it someday, at some point, but usually in my spare time, like I'm usually watching TV or catching up on some videos that I'll miss out, keeping up with the world.
Right now, if Mia Fey were here, she would have closed the book on this case already.
If Mia were here?
So come on, Trite. Can you do it or not?
How about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Godot of being the killer. But can you prove it? Have you got even one piece of evidence?
Question isn't whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. That's the only choice I have. Yeah, I've noticed from Mia's thing there, and Mia's portrait there, the only thing she really did was just go a tight smaller in the suit. And go more revealing. I guess if you're gonna get an advantage in court, you may as well use everything to your... Oh, you may as well use everything to your advantage. It's one of the rules of being a lawyer. Never doubt your client and believe in the truth. I can prove it. I'm going to bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition, just as you want it.
That's good. Fight her till the bitter end, Trite. Since there is one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the ultimate unlimited penalty?
Are you trying to pressure me, Mr. Godot? Because it doesn't matter to me. I've got the one piece of evidence I need.
Give me a break, you've got nothing, Trite.
So what do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I've got to think outside the box and approach this from a whole different angle.
Alright then, Mr. Wright, let's hear what you've got.
There's one thing I've demonstrated in the previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded. That was proven by the blood on the dagger.
But we decided it was impossible for him to have hidden such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there would have been a blood stain on his clothing.
There's one place the killer could have hidden his wound.
What did you say?
Hidden?
I think out of all the of all the people in these games that in terms of like dress sense, I like Godot's. I think I prefer Godot's the most. It's something I would wear. Maybe not like the pinstripes, but I definitely would go with the waistcoat. Although Phoenix does have the one thing in the later games which I do like more, because he gets the waistcoat, but I am a sucker for having a pocket watch. In like, you know, on the gold chain. Oh yeah, of course, why would you not wear the mask as well? I'd go around you know, trying to be Cyclops. We're all still big kids. This is it, my last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. I don't need to think about why there was no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show why he hid the wound.
It's the end of the line. The final stop, Trite. Let's hear what you've got.
I don't know, I like the color coordination he's got going on. And the ankle, sorry, not the ankle, the arm things. It's a very old school thing to do that. Use I don't know what it's actually called, but people do it to basically make to tighten the clothing around their arms so it doesn't become all puffy. Where's the location where you say the killer hid his wound? The answer I have is not strictly in the evidence. It technically is, but the only thing I can think of is Godot himself, because that shows his evidence. If that shows the only place he could have hidden it. Because if you remember correctly, when Maya's statement, she said once she got hit, the lights went out. So his visor must have been hit. Well, that's my thinking anyway. Do I risk it? I believe I do. Am I right? I think I am.
I don't know what you're talking about, and frankly, I don't need to know. What I do know is, you'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right, Trite?
What was that just now?
Mia?
Oh no, it's him.
Mia? It can't be. You're living on through him?
Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. Oh, here we go. Finger pointing. It's beneath your mask. During the fight, the red lights given off the killer suddenly disappeared. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right, your mask went flying off your face. So he's got multiple of these things. Mr. Godot, would you mind removing your mask for me? If you have a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved. Oh. Oh, he shaves under the. He shaves his. I was gonna say, I don't know. Does he shave under his chin? I always think a beard looks very weird when people do that and shave completely under the chin. You've got to keep a little bit of fuzz under it.
Just now, I saw her spirit in you. I never liked you. 6 years ago, you helped the woman who put me to sleep by hiding her a bottle of poison. And then, while I was sleeping, you let Mia die.
What, because of ignorance?
But you didn't care. Just kept living your prophetic, happy-go-lucky life. You even had the nerve to follow in her footsteps as a lawyer.
I mean, not all those things happened at the same time, but, you know. Okay, I see where you're going.
I could never forgive you. That's what I thought.
Mr. Godot.
But I was wrong about you. I knew it from the very beginning. Truth is, the only person I could never find it in my heart to forgive was me.
You? Yourself?
I think we can all agree that Godot does have one of the best themes in the game, though. Or in the whole series, personally.
I was the one that failed to protect Mia. Me and no one else. I tried to avert my eyes from the truth, to escape the harshness of reality. I couldn't face Mia's death head on, so I ran. I hid behind a mask. I threw away my true name. Couldn't even deal with being a defense attorney anymore, so I quit.
But you saved Maya.
Yeah, that was my plan. Up until just now, anyway.
What do you mean?
You listening, Maya? If I really wanted to save you, then there's one person that I should have gone and talked to right away.
Who would that be? You talking about Nick?
But I didn't do it. I tried to get help for Virus and your mother, but I closed my eyes to the most important man involved. You know why? The real reason?
No? Why?
I suppose I wasn't really interested in saving you at all.
Huh?
I think I was just trying to salvage what's left of my own broken soul. I was trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't save Mia. Nothing more. That's why I let you walk right into a situation that I knew was dangerous. Give me.
You're wrong. You put your life on the line to save Maya.
Was it really for Maya's sake? Even I'm not really sure.
What do you mean by that?
That night in the darkness of the garden, when I saw her silhouette,
Oh, goddamn, that's cool.
a part of me must have known the truth. The truth that it wasn't really Dahlia Hawthorne standing there in front of me. It could have been Misty Fey, or even that little girl. But I still picked up the blade. It was like I was dreaming.
Surely someone's got to have made that mask in real life, like on like Etsy or something. It's too iconic not to be.
I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my mind at that point. Was I really motivated by pure desire to help and protect Maya Fey? Or was it something else? Was it my hatred for that woman who had stolen everything from me 6 years earlier? Could it have been simply a desire for revenge? And now, I don't know anything anymore. I did learn something today, however. I finally realized that I was the arrogant one. I was just chasing an illusion, a fantasy. That stupid fantasy of defeating you in the courtroom. You were the one who made me realize my folly. You never ran away from Mia's death. Indeed, you picked up where she left off. A true defender of the people. In that one moment, I understood everything.
Mr. Godot?
I think you already know this, but if you don't, my name is Diego Armando.
Mr. Armando, I believe in you. I knew you were trying to save me.
Oh, he's bleeding.
That's not the good.
Thanks.
Your wound, it's bleeding.
Did you forget already? My world, color red doesn't exist.
Huh?
These must be my tears.
Tears?
Ever since I woke up from my coma, I think I've been waiting for this very moment.
Mr. Armando.
You'll do well to remember this, Maya. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over.
Now we done?
This time, it's really all over, isn't it? Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor?
Although you weren't directly involved in the murder, tampering with the body on the crime scene is indeed itself a serious crime.
I understand, Your Honor. Mr. Armando explained that to me very carefully. I knew the risk and I willingly cooperated anyway.
Very well. Before I hand down my verdict, is there anything you would like to say?
Well,
Actually, no, that's Maya's voice. Yeah, but when I'm thinking of that mask, is it like a foam or fabric mask? I'm thinking of proper like plastic, metal sort of thing with the light up LEDs that you can see that like they're translucent, so you can see through like proper glass.
I'd like to say something to Mr. Wright. I want to apologize to you.
Apologize? Please, can you send me the links of a proper like metal one? I want to see that for purposes, reasons. Definitely not Halloween. Although if I grew my hair out again, I probably could pull off Godot Godot's haircut if I had enough hairspray. If I grew my hair back out, I probably could do it. Apologize to me for what?
For the case 5 years ago, of course.
I just remembered. Weren't you poisoned by your own lover?
Not exactly, but yeah, something like that. Even now, 5 years later, I can hardly believe it. She was going to do it. She was planning to kill me.
It's not that all that surprising. The two of you hardly knew each other.
Hmm? What do you mean?
You and my sister. You only met twice.
Huh? We only met twice.
The first time you met was on that fateful day. The day she poisoned Mr. Armando in the cafeteria area of this very courthouse. The next time you met with her was 8 months later. You met her again on the day she stole your cold medicine. And Doug Swallow was killed.
No way. It can't be true. I mean, during our whole relationship, we were.
For those 8 months, the woman that you fought was Dahlia Hawthorne. Wasn't actually my sister.
Huh? It wasn't Dahlia. It wasn't Dahlia.
I hope one day you can forgive me, Feeny.
I think I can forgive a smile like that for tampering with evidence. You mean...
That's right. I lied to you for 8 months.
But why? Why would you do such a thing?
Ever since she gave you the bottle that day, my sister was trying to get it back as soon as she possibly could. Because of the police investigation and their surveillance, she couldn't move about freely.
So that's why you...
My sister, from the beginning, she was prepared for the worst.
Prepared for the worst?
She thought that you might somehow discover the truth. That's why she always wanted to deal with you at a moment's notice.
You mean she was ready to kill me, don't you?
Already she had done so much to answer for, I didn't want any more sins on her soul. I begged her not to do it, and she agreed to give me a chance.
And that's why you came to me? You came to get the bottle pendant back from me in her place?
But I couldn't get you to give it back. I failed at something even as simple as that. 8 months passed and I still couldn't get it back from you. Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer.
I mean, how old were they at the time? This was what, 5 years ago? No, 6 years ago. So Phoenix would have been how old? He's about the same age as Miles, so 26. So he would have been about 20, and Dahlia would have been about 19. Unless you kids, unless you crazy kids weren't, doing the deed. Because you seem to really like each other.
Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer. She didn't consult me about her plans for you that day. It was the first time that it ever happened.
Yeah, the plastic ones seem to be 3D printed. Send me some links. Just DM me or put it in chat. I want to see for myself what they're like. If you would be so kind, that is. That was a bit strange, wasn't it? Up until that day, you two were partners in crime and she would confer with you.
I think she must have noticed.
Noticed what?
My feelings for you. If I had found out she was planning to kill you, I would have done whatever was necessary to stop her, even if it meant her life, or mine.
Iris.
After spending those 8 months by your side, my feelings towards you, they changed.
Oh. I have something to say to you too. And this is where Phoenix backhands her and goes, "Begone, fart!"
Yes?
You really are the person I always thought you were. Even after Dahlia Hawthorne was found guilty, I still believed in you.
Thank you.
The real question is, why hasn't she returned in the Phoenix Wright games? Because I'm pretty confident she ain't in Spirit of Justice, and that's the only one I've not played. She should be in there. I also like how Godot's changed his name back to Armando.
How many cups of coffee or cups of darkness have I drank over the years? Even I don't know. I'll tell you though, right now, this one here is the greatest cup I think I've ever had.
Yeah, they should bring Iris back, unless they're scared to make, unless they make Maya and Nick a thing, which I don't know, because again I haven't played the Spirit of Justice, and that she is in that game, and I don't know, it could happen, but they should bring back Iris, because tampering, interfering with a murder scene and being an accomplice, I guess. Well, not an accomplice to murder, but misleading the court of justice, or the misleading the court. That would get you some prison time. I'm pretty sure I'd get you a few years in prison, but you wouldn't get sentenced to death.
Don't you think so, Phoenix Wright?
Yeah, I think you're right.
The purpose of this trial was to rule on the murder of the victim, Miss Easton Nim. At some point, I expect you will be tried for your role as an accomplice in this case.
I understand, Your Honor.
Very well, on the charge of murder, I hereby find the defendant
Not guilty.
Court is now adjourned.
We'll not have to use the judge voice ever again. It's a sad time. Oh well, it depends if I do Apollo Justice. I'll have to wait until I get the new trilogy so I can play it there. I've got to play the Spirit of Justice on the 3DS first. I bought it before the Nintendo eShop went off, so goddamn am I going to get my money's worth. So I guess it's all over. The way everything ended, was justice really served? The man who risked his life to save Maya is being sent to prison by my own hand.
Of course justice was served.
Mia!
I'm proud of you, Phoenix. Your defense was truly brilliant.
But I couldn't save Mr. Armando. The man who cared for you so deeply.
You're wrong, Phoenix. You did save Diego. You've saved him in the only way possible.
You mean with that verdict?
I think one day you'll understand too. Phoenix, I want you to remember one thing. You were as good out there as any defense attorney could ever hope to be. There's nothing more you can learn from me.
I'm gonna be calling bullshit.
Mia? You've accomplished something I wasn't able to do. I owe you a great deal. Thank you.
Mia.
I'm sure we'll meet again someday, Phoenix.
I've handled lots of cases and seen a lot of things. Along this journey, I found myself asking just one question. What does it really mean to defend someone? I suppose today's case produced one possible answer.
Nick?
Maya.
Guess it's just like my sis said.
Mia? What did she say?
That night when I channeled Mia to get her advice on what to do, this is what she wrote back in my notebook. Don't worry, Phoenix will save everyone in the end.
But
Come on, cut it out with that gloomy face. Can't you see? Me, sis, I'm sure Iris too. We owe you for everything you've done for us, Nick.
well, I ain't working pro bono. So, you can start with that. Maya? How can you be so bright and chipper after all that's happened? You were brutally attacked, you even saw your own mother murdered. Youch! Francisca.
Still as softy as always, Phoenix Wright.
Excellent work, right?
Huh, Mr. Edgeworth? When did you get back?
Oh, that's right, I guess no one filled her in on that. Edgeworth and Francisca have actually been helping me. Oh, can we have a game where we do that instead? Can we have a game where we have the right agency and it's Phoenix and Francisca and Edgeworth? And I'd be quite... I'd buy that. Just take my money.
Helping you?
Obviously they're prosecutors and I'm a defense attorney, but come on, I will make it work. If these two hadn't been there on the first day of the trial, the defense wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Wow, but where were you, Nick?
I heard he fell into a river and caught a nasty cold which forced him to sleep all day.
Yes, he laid in bed shivering from his fever with Iris's hood pulled over his head.
Oh, ouch. Talk about embarrassing, Nick. You definitely need more training. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. And you too, Francisca.
Oh yeah. Well, wasn't I right last time about who it was? I'm still trying to reclaim back my guesses of who this guy is, so I'm gonna go with the voice. I don't suppose I had a 50-50 split of Larry and Gumshoe, and Gumshoe made way more sense in this moment.
I don't suppose there's room for me in this group hug, is there?
Oh, Larry.
What's with the longer than usual face?
I realized something when I was reborn. I realized that Larry was never of any use to anyone, not even once.
That's not true, right, Nick?
What? You're asking me?
Well, Nick, is it true? You've got a place in this world, right?
Huh? Yeah, of course.
I knew it. Everyone would be better off if I were gone for good.
No. Yeah. Those portraits you painted, they were really good. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
What? Me? Why are you making that face, huh, Edgy? Well, yes, indeed.
I certainly can't say they lack resemblance.
You really mean it? How about you, Franzi? Did I draw you well, too? What?
My beauty can't possibly be captured by a mere crayon.
I'm not gonna lie. When she's kind of angry like this and I do the zoom in shots, I kind of have a thing for Francisca.
Nevertheless, I recognize the effort you put into it, and that's worth something.
See? She has a soft side to her as well. So, you'll do it? Like you promised? You going to model for my next picture book, Francie's Whippity Whip Trip?
Don't get carried away.
Well, how about that? I guess painting portraits is the only thing I'm good at. Painting a Pearl was pretty darn good too, if you ask me. Huh? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her around. Pearls? Where could she have gone? Only she would have made a beeline for Maya.
Oh, I'll go look for her. Be right back.
Because of how long this stream is, and because I was late due to traffic, I think we might have to end it. We might have to have a shorter stream today, unfortunately. And what we'll do is I'll play Paper Mario and Assassin's Creed Revelations tomorrow, and we'll do an extra sitting of Paper Mario on Wednesday. I think that'll even everything out.
Hey, Pearly.
Right. You seem to be uncharacteristically puzzled. I suspect you are wondering how Maya can be so cheerful despite all that has happened. Yeah.
To be honest, I can't understand it either.
Francisca? That's right, she lost her father recently, as well. I think I understand how she feels. Maya is a much wiser person than she appears. And I think she realizes something. Now is exactly the time when she needs to be as strong as she can.
What do you mean by now is exactly the time?
Maya wasn't the only one who was badly wounded by this incident. In fact, there was someone else that was hurt far more deeply than she. I believe for that person that Maya is trying her best not to cry. Someone who was hurt more deeply than Maya? Edgeworth, I think I'm starting to understand too.
Ow! Then tell me, Phoenix Wright, who is Maya Fey being strong for?
It has to be Pearl. It's the one though, because she's the 9-year-old who's lost her family, her parent, who's now a double convicted murderer, or at least conspiring to kill someone. And then she's basically lost everybody because Morgan's definitely gonna die now.
Pearl Fey.
Poor kid, after all. The reason she worked so hard to follow the instructions was because she loved and believed in her mother, Morgan. It's for the good of the Fey clan, I'm sure she believed, it's for the good of the Fey clan, and I'm sure she believed in every last word. She thought that she was doing it for Maya, and that's why she was so happy. It shows how truly devoted she is to Maya. But it's a cruel irony that it led to her exuberance God damn it. But it was a cruel irony that it was her exuberance that led to this tragedy. Got it in the end. Maya Fey's mother was killed and Maya herself was put into the deepest peril imaginable. And that's exactly why Maya is putting on a brave face. She's doing it for Pearls' sake. Till she can see her smile again. Oh, hey. Bit late, Gumshoe.
So this is where you all were. Wow, looks like we got quite a bunch of... Wow, what was that for, sir?
Sorry about that, Scruffy. My whip just seems to have a mind of its own.
What's up, Detective Gumshoe?
Oh, you know, this and that. Anyway, congrats on your win. Let's go out tonight, pal. Dinner's on me. My salary just sort of kind of gone down by a teeny weeny bit, but it's alright. I made reservations at a first-class French restaurant tonight.
Ah! Pretty good work, Scruffy. That whip was your reward.
Detective Gumshoe? You said a first-class French restaurant. You don't mean...
Tribulations. Where else?
I knew it. We're doomed.
Come on, let's go, everyone. Can't keep Maggie waiting, pal. Hey, you too, crybaby. You're invited, too.
Yeah, forget about me. Pearl and I will be with the loser's shack eating potatoes. You know, Maya is taking an awfully long time trying to get back. She's still out looking for pearls. Oh, Maya? What's wrong?
Nick, what do I do? Pearly, I can't find her anywhere.
Huh?
Yeah, I bet she just went back home. That's all.
Thought so too, so I called the village. But no one has heard from her. This has never happened before.
As I figured, she's been badly hurt by this incident. She feels responsible for the tragedy that has befallen you, Maya.
But none of this was her fault. What should I do?
Detective Gumshoe?
Yeah, what is it, pal?
You guys go on ahead.
But what about you?
Maya and I will join you guys once we find pearls.
Nick?
Don't worry about us, Detective Gumshoe. We may be a little late, but we'll definitely be there. We have a lot of celebrating to do tonight, and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, but you're the... Yeah!
Very well, Phoenix Wright. We'll go on ahead.
Don't keep us waiting, Wright. We won't.
But where should we look? Where could Pearly have gone?
Let's go, Maya. There's only one place I can think of the pearls might have gone to. She gone to the right? She gone to the offices? Or she gone back there? I was gonna say there's only two places she could have gone. Oh, is she fixing the thing of Misty?
Hazakura Temple?
The pearls? I bet this is a very important place. After all, it's where the whole incident started.
Watch this, you're all back again so soon?
Just a bikini.
I thought we'd be eating mashed potatoes alone tonight. So she's here? Pearly's here? She's in the training hall. Why don't you hurry along and go see her? Okay. Pearly's not here.
Ah. Maya, the hanging scroll. Cleaned it up for you.
Someone cleaned it off.
It's gotta be pearls.
Ah! Mystic Maya. Pearly. Why did you just leave like that? Mystic Maya. Mystic Maya.
And?
I swore that I would never trouble the two of you ever again. It's all my fault because of that. Mystic Maya's mother.
That's why you came here?
It's the least I could do to pray for your happiness. You don't have to do that, Pearly. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course, I'm sad that my mother's gone. But how do I say this? I'm still happy. You don't have to lie to make me feel better. No, really. It's true. The only reason I'm still here is all thanks to everyone who was there for me. My sis, my mother, Mr. Armando, Nick, and you. Even if one of you weren't there, I'm sure I wouldn't still be alive right now. That's why I have to be strong. For all the people that were there for me when I needed them. That's all I can really do. Mystic Maya? I'm impressed. You truly are the daughter of Mystic Misty. Sister Bikini. Your mother, Mystic Misty, was a strong woman indeed. I want to tell you what she'd said to me that night.
After dishonoring the good name of Karian, I don't have the right to face my daughter. But still, Maya is always in my thoughts. It's true, she'll always be with me, until the day that I die.
Your spirit was with her. That's why your mother was so strong. Even at the end, I'm sure she had no regrets.
She'll always be with you until the day that I die. Huh? There's a rule or something all masters are to follow, isn't there? To never take off the charm until the day you die.
That's the master's talisman.
The thing that Misty kept by her heart and would never take off. It wasn't the container that was important, rather, it was the contents.
That's a photo? Huh.
Mother.
It's only natural for living creatures to fight to protect their own lives. That's what makes us human. It's what we fight for. No, it's why we fight for each other. But who do you fight for? How hard must you fight? That's the true treasure of what human life is worth. We defense attorneys are warriors who are constantly challenged by that question. Oh. Even when the battle is over and the bonds that connect us are severed, we always return. Time and time again. Mia, Maya, Pearls, Mr. Armando, and Maya's mother. I learned that from all of them. Oh. It's weird seeing Mia in that sort of regalia when, you know, she's not with Maya. She's not possessing Maya. She's actually in her own form at that point. Well, shall we get going? Everyone's waiting. This is a day to remember. A day when a lot of things were finally put to rest. I think we should celebrate what we've overcome today.
But I still can't. Oh, go on, sweetie. You can come back for training anytime. Okay. Alright, I'm going to make a brand new start too. Sister Bikini, I'll be back for more training, I promise. I know, and I won't go easy on you just because you're the future master. I'll make sure to prepare reservations for free when you come back. Alright, we're going to have a great feast today, Pearly. You know why? Because training is a battle of endurance. Okay, Mystic Maya. I'll eat lots and lots of food tonight.
You know, there's one thing I don't get, and probably don't want to, but...
What is it, Nick?
Reservations for training is fine and all, but why for free?
Come on, what do you think? You're the one of us, Nick. Next time you can train right alongside us.
I think I'll, pass. You know, freezing cold water poured on me for hours at a time when I need to focus, when I'm not going to get any benefit out of it. I think I'll pass that up. Huh?
I'll be waiting for you. Sister Bikini will take special care of you.
Huh? Huh?
It'll be great, Nick. We're going to do the special course naturally.
Huh?
That's a great idea after all, Mr. Nick. You'd do anything for Mystic Maya, wouldn't you? Even walk on hot coals, right?
Hot coals? Yes. scalding ice cold water? No.
We'll have a nice big meal before we come next time, right, Nick?
You know, I was wondering if I can say just this one little thing.
Sure, of course you can. I love this part. I can't wait to hear it. I'm getting goosebumps too.
Well then, here goes nothing. And with that, should be the end of the game. To be fair, every time I've played one of the... Oh, never mind, we got dialogue.
It's really hard to work extra hard now. Master of crying and the office manager of Wright and Co. law offices. You have to be a good big sister to Pearly and Nick too. Well, as long as I'm locked up or captured or something like that.
If you're gonna get... I was gonna say, I'm always surprised with how... I always, like, come off playing the game and getting a better opinion of the game from when I started to when I'm replaying these.
So it's true, Mr. Nick and Maya really true. Okay, went for the special course with her all the way to the end. There's a legendary extra super ultra special course here too. I think I'll surprise the two of them by making them take a secret reservation.
Yeah, I'm always surprised how well I look on the games after I've played them once. Because like I've said, this is my second playthrough of playing there. Oh, it's the first playthrough on the... Oh, Gumshoe's got a new coat.
Maggie bought me this coat as a present, pal. I feel 10 years younger.
I'll never take it off.
Yeah, but somehow you don't seem the same. Guess a dirty, shabby old overcoat is just more detective-like, sir.
Yeah, don't worry about it. In the name of love, a man will soil himself silly.
But yeah, like, I thought after the first game that was probably my favorite. And now it's like, my opinion of Justice for All went up as well.
Thanks to Mr. Wright, I'm in your debt. Thanks to you, the Treasures of Crying exhibit were a great success. I even got to see Miss Von Karma, we hadn't seen in almost a year. She taught me how to use a whip, and said I must show you what I've learned.
Well, Adrian, for you, I'd be willing to make that a possibility.
Desi and I have started a company called Mass to Mass Consulting. We're dedicated to stopping the evil plans of criminals in the city. Our motto is cut it out, please. Pretty cute, huh? Also, we sell plans to criminals as a kind of a side business. Wonder if that's okay. Sometimes I think maybe we're the worst criminals.
I can't remember his voice, so you'll have to forgive me if I might do a different voice for a character that we've not voiced in about a couple of months.
I wanted to show my appreciation to Mr. Wright for exterminating Don Tigre, so I lent him $500,000 and a tea set, a special fig tea, one I mixed with my own 2 hands. I bet he's drinking it now. Win through compromise.
Yeah, I always come off thinking like, this actually might be one of my favorite games of the series, and I've played all of them apart from Spirit of Justice and the 2 older ones.
I'm just old and in the way, a wrinkly, grumpy nosed man. At least that's what I thought, but my grandkids had a birthday party for me the other day. Talk about embarrassing, 69 years old, and I cried like a baby with a dirty diaper.
Please tell me that 69 was an intentional meme. With what he is most commonly known for.
As usual, we have an abundance of work to do, so we hired a new programmer to replace Glenn Elk. I do hope everyone will get along. His name is Adam Mata. As soon as I heard his name, I knew our brain circuits were aligned perfectly.
I don't get... Adam Mata... I don't know, I don't get it.
My, more reporters? Since the murder, we've made so much money I hardly know what to do. I think the magazines like us provide such a nice visual, especially in spring. I can hardly wait for Iris to come back.
See, that's what I mean. So Iris is not sentenced to death, so I'm surprised that no one's ever continued on with the game. And, you know, Iris and Nick. Because that's an interesting perspective of the fact that they were dating.
You've turned into such a respectable man, Feeney. It was so sweet of you and everyone else to come visit me here the other day. Of course, I was happy that you constantly had your eyes on me, but I felt kind of bad when that little one slapped you so hard you got a nosebleed.
Well, you know, it happens. So you gotta break it to her at some point. I wonder if that guy's still the voice for Phoenix, as well as this guy for Miles Edgeworth. So obviously, for guys like, well, for people like Mia, who are only in one case, or one game, or Godot, it's a one-shot deal. But, there's Godot's. Quite a deep voice. Damn, look at that Adam's apple go. Well, I guess they got the same person for Francisca as well. Although this is a remake, this is a remaster, so I don't know if the sounds are the same in the original games. I imagine they are.
What's this? I'm back from a long and tiring vacation and no one is here to greet me? I guess while I was gone, my little whippersnapper buddy quit on me. That's kind of lonely. Crazy security room is his. Supposed to be. What's this crazy security room supposed to be anyway? All the lights and switches, I feel like some kind of space alien. Now, with all am I going to do with all these measurement nuts, and if I bring over Reggie Poo, he'll know exactly I gotta accept these. I'm afraid something's painful this fragile heart, or when I ever get invited to element to treat me like this.
But yeah, I think this might be one of my favorites in terms of the Ace Attorney series. I finally found something I love to do. Frenzy's Whippity Whip Trip. It's gonna turn the art world on its head. Should have realized it sooner. Self-centered, lazy, and antisocial. I'm an artist. I'm a really good portrait artist. Not a loser after all. Well, I'm glad Larry's finally found something. I don't think he's in the future games. I don't remember him in Apollo Justice or the other one, and he might be in the Edgeworth games. I might be wrong. And that right there's a thumbnail, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. That right there is also a thumbnail, but I think that one below is more important. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I like the actual story's told. This one maybe some of the cases I didn't like the Tribulations one. Oh, it's not even I didn't like the cases. It's more the fact of you want cases that interest you and, you know, keep you going. And yeah, it's really, I don't know. Sometimes I lose interest in a case. Like the big one that I lost interest in was like in the middle of number 2. I was just a bit bored. But in this game, I really enjoyed all the cases. Like the least one I enjoyed was the Tribulations one, but you know, it is what it is. You've got to have the good cases. You've got to have somewhat mediocre cases to have really good cases. It's like say like a TV show. If you don't have really good, if you don't have some mediocre episodes, how do you know which ones the good ones are? Because not every episode is equal. But yeah, I enjoyed this. You know, I can't complain about the mechanics because they're the exact same as the other ones, so I can't really talk about that. But the story, I agree. I like the overarching story, bringing it to an end because it obviously was a trilogy. And I don't know how many years of a hiatus they took from this. I know they did the Miles Edgeworth games and then the Apollo Justice after. But yeah, this might be, for me, it's probably at the moment. I do like Ace Attorney, the original one. I do like this as well, and I do like Apollo Justice whenever we get to it. All 3 of those games, in my opinion, are probably my 3 favorite Phoenix Wright game or Ace Attorney games. But yeah, those are probably my 3, and then it's probably Justice for All and Dual Destiny's lower with the Edgeworth games. I've played both Edgeworth games, even the fan edit one of the Prosecutor's Path. You should check that out if you can, because you know obviously you can't play the play Edgeworth 1 first if you can, and then look for Edgeworth 2 because it got localized. Obviously, you know, it never got brought over here, which is a bit of a shame, but I don't know why it didn't. It should do. I'm surprised they've not released something like in it. Like, maybe they make a 3rd one with Edgeworth and release it as a trilogy, something like that. But it is what it is. Or maybe even just putting the games on, remastering them like you've done these two, and just saying the Miles Edgeworth games. Like I said, it is what it is. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I hope you did too. I hope you enjoyed all the silly voices I do and all the stupid cock-ups that I've made. But for now, I'd like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. For people on Twitch, all of these get archived to YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. There should be links in the About section of my Twitch page. If you ever miss a stream, that is where they will be. For people on those platforms, this is all streamed live from Twitch. If you ever want to watch live and interact, you are more than welcome to. Should be a link, or loads of links, in the description of every video that I do to the Twitch channel, as well as any other platform you wish to watch me on. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It does help me out in the algorithm, and I do interact with the comments when I can. And without further ado, I would like to thank you all for watching one final time, and bye-bye.